Ever since I got the Canon R7 in and the DJI Mavic Mini 3 Pro, I've been getting a lot of questions about SD cards. So instead of making a few videos, I decided to consolidate, make one video, and I'm going to tell you the best SD cards that I've been using with both the Canon R7 and the DJI Mini 3 Pro. Now the good news is on both of these cameras, the media is really affordable compared to a lot of other cameras out there. So first, let's start off with the Canon R7. And I am using two of these Lexar V60 cards. Now, I shoot exclusively video on the Canon R7, so these cards will work in all the video modes. Now, if you're using the R7 exclusively for photos and you're shooting burst a lot of the time, I'll actually recommend that you go for a V90 card, and I'll have a link to everything in the description below, just because it is a higher megapixel sensor, even higher than the R6, so if you're shooting at the burst photo mode, your buffer is going to fill up quickly. Having a V90 card shooting stills primarily will help you in the burst photo modes compared to these V60 cards. But again, if you're shooting primarily video, C-Log 3, what have you, these V60 cards work amazing and they are really decently priced. You can buy a 2-pack of these for $70-ish. You can buy one of them for $50. I'm recording this on Prime Day and they're doing a great deal on these cards for $30. Those deals are only for this Prime Day though, so they're not going to last as long. However, even the normal price of these cards are really great for what you get. Now, I recommend going with the 128 just because I don't like having too much information on one card, especially if you end up losing one card or something happens. You just never know. So I try not to go higher than 128 gigs when it comes to these SD cards. I use the same method on my RED cameras. I try not to go higher than 256 gigabyte on my RED cameras. I'll go 512 occasionally, but I won't go higher than 512. And normally with those, I'm borrowing someone's 512s because I rather have a bunch of media cards, although that's against popular opinion, just in case anything gets lost. So these are my favorite cards to be using with the Canon R7. I also use them on the R6, again, in their video modes. Now, when it comes to the DJI Mini 3 Pro, the media is definitely even cheaper than the R7. So I use this little Silicon Power 128 gigabyte V30 micro SD card. Now, you can pretty much use most of the V30 SD cards that are out there. I found that this was the best price when I was looking. I have used the SanDisk Extreme Pros for years, and those V30 cards work well as well. However, the difference though is because SanDisk is so big, there's been issues with putting counterfeit copies of the SanDisk cards on Amazon, and it's really hard to spot the counterfeit copies unless you have them in your hand and you can actually do a speed check on those cards themselves. So that's another reason why I went with Silicon Power, just because since they're a smaller company, you don't have as many counterfeit companies trying to counterfeit these cards, but you can go with either or. I do have some SanDisk Extreme Pros. I keep one in my controller just as an emergency card, especially if for whatever reason I run out of memory on this, I'll at least have a 32 gig card with me. But again, I would not go higher than 128 gigabytes on a drone, especially because there's no way you're going to fill up this 128 gigabyte card with one flight. On top of that, if you lose your drone, whatever, at least if it's a smaller card, you'll have the information on by swapping out cards rather than losing everything on that one card that you had. So definitely recommend this Silicon Power. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Until next time, my name is Geoff Fagien. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.